you a little bit about myself before I start talking about my work, because I feel like that explains a lot why I make the work I do today. Growing up in Iceland, I got a very strong, textile kind of upbringing. My mother was a knitting and a sewing teacher, and my grandmothers made textiles, and my great-great-grandmothers, and my sisters, and so everyone around me was making textiles. So it was something I learned from a very early age, and it comes very kind of naturally to me. I don't know the world without knowing how to do this. So it's something I've been doing for a long time. It's a strong tradition in Iceland because of the isolation of the island and the Icelandic sheep. We just had to use the wool from the sheep. So for centuries, all Icelanders have known how to work the wool, and they still teach in elementary schools. Children get like half a year of woodworking and half a year of sewing and knitting and crocheting. So it's something that everyone kind of knows in Iceland. And I feel like everyone kind of also shares this kind of same history of having grandmothers that did handcrafts. It's very close to us still. For instance, this piece is kind of about my relationship with my grandmother. We had this in common, the textiles and handcraft, and we talked about that a lot through the ages, or through the years. And ever since I was little, she used to give me hand-knit mittens for Christmas. Every year there was like a soft package from my grandmother, and it was always mittens with like chocolate and money inside. Like 3 years ago, when she started kind of losing her health, I kind of reversed this process, and I started making mittens to give back to her. With all the, she's taught me a lot also, so it was a really kind of a reverse of this whole system of her kind of teaching me all these techniques, and then I started kind of using them and giving back to her. So these are the gifts that I gave to her. These are basically these mittens wrapped in these Christmas packages. And there's like a whole other element to this piece, and that's which is kind of too long to go into. But every single mitten is kind of specifically tailored for her, and it's connected to her background and things that she was interested in. For instance, this thing is called vattarsaumur. It's like a very old technique, and it was what the Vikings used instead of knitting and crocheting, because there wasn't any knitting back then. So they used this technique, and it almost kind of died out in Iceland, but my grandmother was very interested in it, so she kind of asked me to take a course and learn it, show her how to do it, and then I eventually made her a pair of mittens. So there's all these kind of, I kind of go into extreme, kind of connecting these mittens to her. And these are all plant dyes. I've been getting a lot into plant dyes lately, but these are plant dyed from plants that she grew and planted in her land in Iceland like 30 or 40 years ago. So they're kind of her plants and her colors. So I don't know, in a way it could be a collaboration in a way. So they're also kind of conversation, it's all also about this performance of kind of just giving it to her, and the conversations that we had and connection through these gifts. So yeah, I don't know what else I could keep telling you stories about my grandmother and my and the craft aspect of these mittens, but that's basically the concept of it. It's to kind of re-give or give back to her what she's been given to me. This is Icelandic wool, and it's plant dyed. And once again, in birch leaves from a tree that my grandmother planted 30 years ago. So the pigment is plant-based from my grandmother, and it's hand woven by me, but it's presented like a minimal painting, basically. So it kind of overlaps this background and hierarchy, this kind of painting theme, basically.